What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave. Today we are talking about another very exciting deck list. This time it's going to be an Amber Amethyst traditional Hyper Aggro, something we haven't really seen in the meta because it did lose a lot of cards. It kind of lost the bounce package going into rotation, and that is something that can certainly hurt it. If you play it a little bit of a different way, and instead of focusing on keeping your characters alive by bouncing them and replaying to the board, that you focus more on cycling characters and keeping characters coming and continuing to quest, there is a different way to play it, and it can definitely be effective into lots of meta options. I wanted to get a little more test time in with this deck, so we had no video last Friday, but we got back on videos today, and we'll have another one coming Friday, and maybe some shorts in between there, so keep an eye out for those. As always, before we jump into the video, I gotta give a big shout out to the Patreons for making the giveaways on the channel possible. Could not do any of this without you guys. And the sleeves that we're going to be featuring in today's video are from our affiliate, link in the comments, Nerd Gear. Fantastic, nice, slippery, smooth, great to shuffle sleeves, and they are a little bit shorter than a Dragon Shield, so if you're somebody who likes a tight deck box and your Dragon Shields are a little snug in there, this could be a great sleeve option for you, so definitely check out the link in the comments if you want to see what Nerd Gear has to offer. The first card in the 1-cost slot, we're on 3 Nala Mischievous Cub, a 1-cost inkable 0/4 stat line questing for 1. No abilities, it is just great at sticking to the board and staying there. Then still in the 1-cost slot, you've heard me say this before, probably the best card in Amethyst, we do have 4 Diablo Obedient Raven, a 1-cost inkable 0/1 stat line questing for 1, and when it's banished, which is pretty much always going to happen, you are going to go ahead and draw a card, so this is going to be the epitome of this deck and a fantastic card to be able to replace itself. Still in the 1-cost slot, this is an aggro deck after all. We do have 4 Aurora Holded Court, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 1. Whenever this character quests, you pay 1 less for the next queen or princess character that you play. It's going to be a great way to fuel some of those big threats to the board early on turn 2, and it's going to be a great way to play the next card we're going to talk about for free. And that card is going to be 4 Charlotte LaBeouf Mardi Gras Princess, a 1-cost inkable 1/3 stat line questing for 1, and you guessed it, she is a princess. That's really what she has going for her. So if you have an Aurora and you don't have a turn 3 princess to play down on turn 2 and you want to just fuel more characters to the board quickly, Charlotte LaBeouf is a great way to do that, because you can quest with the Aurora, play the Charlotte for free, and you still have those 2 ink open to play either a 2 ink character or 2 more 1 ink characters. Speaking of great 1 ink characters to fuel to the board early, we do have 4 Daisy Duck Donald's Date, a card you don't typically see 4 of anymore because it is letting your opponent draw, which is kind of the antithesis of this meta. Like, you don't want to let your opponent draw, but if you're in a Hyper Aggro deck and you plan on beating them before they can take advantage of any of the cards that you're giving them, Daisy Duck Donald's Day can be a great way to do so, especially if you hit like one of these on turn 1 and then another one on turn 2 with another character. It can be incredibly oppressive to your opponent. She is a 1-cost uninkable 1/4 stat line questing for 2. Whenever this character quests, each opponent reveals the top card of their deck. If it's a character card, they're going to be able to put it into their hand, and if it's not, they're going to send it to the bottom of their deck. Next up, moving over to the 2-cost slot, a card that I've been a fan of for a while now, and that is going to be Jim Deere Beloved Husband, a 2-cost inkable 0/4 stat line questing for 1. So he doesn't quest for a whole ton, but he is going to defend your board every time he's exerted, especially in the early turns. That can make it really difficult for your opponent to deal with the characters that they want to be able to deal with. But if you want a character that quests for 2 potentially, coming down on turn 2, we do have 4 Timothy Q. Mouse Flight Instructor, a 2-cost inkable 1/4 stat line questing for 1. But if you have an evasive character in play, he is going to be questing for 2, so he is very likely to be able to quest for 2 on turn 3 on the games where it's relevant to your playline, and when it's not, he is inkable. Next up, still in the 2-cost slot, we do have 4 Cusco Wanted Llama, a 2-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 1, with when this character is banished, you may draw a card. So he is going to do that exact same ability that Diablo does, and just keep your hand full of cards and continue to fuel threats to the board in those early turns and beat your opponent before they can do anything about it. Especially those Blurple decks are trying to use a lot of targeted removal, so they have a hard time when you start going wide on them. Moving to the 3-cost slot, and one of our great targets for Aurora, we do have Mulan Free Spirit, a 3-cost inkable 2/3 stat line questing for 2, and support. So she is going to be able to come down as a princess on turn 2 if you're questing with that Aurora, and going into those subsequent turns, she is going to be able to throw support over those characters like those Cusco Wanted Llamas. You put support on a Cusco, and all of a sudden he's challenging for 3 and drawing your card when he does. It's also great with Diablo. It's a great way to give you some more favorable challenges with this deck in general. But if your playline is a turn 2 Timothy Q Mouse, exactly what you want to be staring at on turn 3 is going to be one of these 4 Tinkerbell Fast Flyer, a 3-cost inkable 1/3 stat line questing for 2 with evasive. So she is going to be able to trigger those Timothys to be able to quest for 2, and also she's going to be a great way to quest for those 2 in those subsequent turns. Obviously evasive is super prevalent to the meta right now, so she is also very good with Mulan to be able to give her +2 and allow her to challenge for 3, potentially taking out a Dumbo. This also might be the most expensive aggro deck I've ever built. Next up in the 3-cost slot still, we do have for the White Rose, Jewel of the Garden, a 3-cost inkable 3/3 stat line questing for 1, but when you play it, you're getting that additional 1 lore for free, so it's a great way to potentially close out games when your opponent may not think you are able to. There's lots of times in Lorcana where it comes down to 1 or 2 lore and your opponent says, they can't quite get there, it'll come back around to my turn and then I'll be able to win. All of a sudden you throw down the White Rose and upset that type of thinking and win the game without your opponent being able to do anything about it. Still in the 3-cost slot, we do have 3 Lady Family Dog, a 3-cost inkable 2/2 stat line questing for 2. I think this card is great, and I think there's an argument for playing a 4 of, and if that's the way you prefer to run it, run it that way. I think in some instances she can leave you with not enough cards in your hand, and so it's not always where you want to be, especially in some of those steel matchups where they're going to remove her fairly easily with her 2/2 stat line. But as a 3-cost inkable 2/2 questing for 2, that has when you play this character, you may play a character with cost 2 or less for free. As her ability, she is a fantastic card and still a great place to be a lot of times in an aggro deck, particularly if you're going first. Speaking of a great 3-drop to be holding when you're going first, we do have 3 Tiana Restaurant Owner, a 3-cost uninkable 1/4 stat line questing for 2, with whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, bringing it -3 strength unless their controller pays 3 ink. So they basically have to pay 3 ink to attack with any of those early game characters, so especially if you're questing with Aurora, throwing her down on 2 can be incredibly oppressive to your opponent's play lines. Obviously she can be not as good in the Blurple matchup if she just gets hit with an early Into the Unknown. In pretty much every other matchup she's going to be great, and everything else in your deck is tech to win against Blurple, so having one card that's not isn't really going to hurt you. Last card in the 3-cost slot, we do have for the Library, a Gift for Belle, 3-cost inkable location, 1 to move in, 8 willpower with gain 1 lore at the beginning of your turn, which is always fantastic. People are not teching against locations right now, so putting down a location can be a bit of a surprise to your opponent, and when you're moving in all those characters, especially the ones that are already letting you draw into here and then they're getting banished because your opponent doesn't have a good way to deal with an 8 willpower location early in the game, it is going to feel real good when you're drawing a ton of cards and just keeping that board fueled with threats that they can't really deal with effectively unless they're on like blue-green, but then they're going to have a hard time with a lot of the other stuff that you're doing. So I think maybe the worst matchup for this deck in my experience is blue-green, but you can't have a perfect matchup against everybody. A lot of the other deck lists, your matchup's pretty good. Moving over to the 4-cost slot and the last couple cards on the deck, we do have for Dumbo, 9th Wonder of the Universe, as a 4-cost inkable 3/3 stat line questing for 1 with evasive, and pay 1, exert him. He is going to let you draw a card and gain 1 lore, which is always better than questing, and he is also going to give that ability to all of those other evasive characters that you have, which granted isn't a ton, but you still have a few in the deck, so you're going to be able to take advantage of them for some additional card draw. But in those matchups when Dumbo isn't going to be good, you ink him and you play the Library instead because you do have that backup plan. And our last character in the deck, and another way to draw off of that Dumbo if you need to, we do have 3 Genie Wish Fulfilled, a 4-cost uninkable 2/4 stat line questing for 2 with evasive, and when he comes into play he's just going to draw you a card anyway, which is always going to be fantastic. So typically on 4 over being on Dumbo, you want to be on Genie, and then going into those subsequent turns you throw down the Dumbo and take advantage of the drawing with Genie if that's what you need to do. If not, you just go ahead and quest for 2 and put yourself that much closer to winning. But that is the breakdown on a new build for Amber Amethyst Aggro. I'm always curious to hear y'all's thoughts in the comments below. Are there cards that I played that I shouldn't have, or cards that I didn't play that you think definitely should be in there, like maybe Elsa 5th Spirit? I know that's a card a lot of people like. I stayed away from the higher curve cards, kept it at 4 because that's always worked out well for me with aggro decks in general, and especially with those locations in there where you want to be able to get a lot of characters down and move them in. Keeping that curve low can be pretty important, especially when you don't want to be inking a ton necessarily. You want to be able to play threats instead. But let me know what your thoughts are. I always love to hear it. And when you see those toys, video games, and big shiny Dumbos in very nice sleeves off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.